I know it's the beginning of the year. You may have health goals. We're gonna set some success patterns for that. Hey guys, my name is Rebecca. I'm a physician and anesthesiologist actually. I have lost now 63 pounds on a whole foods plant-based diet with exercise. That is out of the 120 that I need to lose. This morning I was 228.4 pounds. I started at 291.4 because, as you know, you never forget your highest weight. I know a lot of you guys have actually been there as well and may still be there, but I wanted to sort of tell you my journey at this point. This Sunday actually turned 59 and a half years old. And I have been fat pretty much all my life. I was a chubby kid, and that was when there was only maybe 1 or 2 chubby kids in a class of 30 or 35. Not as commonplace as it is now. And having worked in hospitals and seeing sort of the public, it has gotten much more frequent to see kids who are on the larger side. So I started my first diet when I was probably 12 years old, probably not unlike a lot of you, and did my round with Weight Watchers. Don't think I ever did any plain liquid diets. I'm pretty sure I did the cabbage diet. I never actually got into heavy meat diets like carnivore, keto, or paleo, or Atkins, anything like that, because sort of that I had this instinctive feeling that all that saturated fat was probably not a good idea. But remember, I was taking biology and chemistry and then even into medical school and my residency and after that. I remember just even in residency going, and I was still doing Weight Watchers at that point. Pretty much vegetarian Weight Watchers, but I was doing Weight Watchers at that point. But there was probably chicken. I kind of felt like, the vegetables were really healthy, but I wasn't sure about some of the other things. I remember in about 2012, I got a hold of a book called Eat to Live by Joel Fuhrman. It made a ton of sense to a certain extent. And I read it, and he does a little bit more limiting of grains. And I was like, the grains, I just didn't think were all that bad for you, especially when they were whole grains like brown rice, rolled oats, and not oat pieces, but where the bran and the healthy fiber were on the outside of it. I remember actually even doing like a one-on-one coaching with his team, and it was always that grains thing that stuck with me. The starches that weren't beans. I really struggled with that for a fairly long period of time. We're talking a few years. And then Forks Over Knives came out, and I want to say 2013 or 2014. And it made so much more sense to me. So much more sense. There seemed to be sort of 2 camps in the whole foods plant-based lifestyle. One is heavier on nuts and less grains, like Eat to Live and Fuhrman, at least how it used to be. I don't know if he has changed his stance on that or not. Then you have more the Forks Over Knives and Plant Pure Nation, and they are less nuts, less oils, more grains. That really made so much more sense to me and was a ton easier. And that is, for the most part, what I do. I also felt like there was a exercise component to it. And remember, this was probably about the beginning of Biggest Loser. Not exercising like that. And please don't get me wrong, not exercising like that at all. But I felt like there was an exercise component to it. And honestly, with Forks Over Knives, they don't really talk about exercise. They have people who have gone through their, not exactly program, but have changed their diet and their lifestyle to a whole foods plant-based, and they felt better and they started exercising more and maybe, doing big exercise goals, like maybe a 5K or a 10K or a half marathon or even a marathon or biking, or, I think Rip Esselstyn even, is like an Ironman. I really felt like there was that exercise component to it as well. Now, granted, back even when I was doing Weight Watchers and when I started losing weight, I was doing exercise. I was walking, I was doing treadmill and swim aerobics and water aerobics and all that sort of stuff. Then I saw the movie Unsupersize Me. And granted, this was probably about 5 years ago. It is set down in Gainesville, Florida. And that is actually where I did my residency and spent 6 years of my life. And they were very good years that I was down there. I really enjoyed being down there. Presently, I live in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, and that is home. But I really, really enjoyed Gainesville. And the movie set in Gainesville. And it was amusing because I could actually, when I was watching the movie, I could say, okay, that's Hale Plantation, and I know where that is, and I know where that natural foods store was because I had been there so many times. And I connected with Carly, who is the one who did the movie. And the basis of the movie is that he took Tracy, who was 350 pounds, and within a year, eating anything on a whole foods plant-based diet. And granted, he does, I think, 80% your beans, your non-starchy vegetables, your starchy vegetables like corn and potatoes and things like that. And then 20% or 15% is more grains. Oats, I think, would fall into that category. And then maybe 5% for any higher fat things like avocado or nut butters or nuts. And then you also do cardio and weights, not Biggest Loser style. We're not talking 8-12 hours a day, which, as we learned from the Biggest Loser documentary that was on Netflix not too long ago, they were exercising 12 hours a day, which is ridiculous. But you are doing that. You're starting where you can, and you were moving up to a maximum of an hour cardio. And I am not talking full out running on 12% incline on a freaking treadmill. I am talking walking at a acceptable, I don't want to say easy pace, because I do challenge myself. But I started at 2.0 maximum at 30 minutes, and I'm now up to like 2.4, 2.6 for an hour. It's actually good de-stressing time. And then for weights, he does start you, I started at 10 minutes a day. And I'm now up to 60. And I'm still in beginners, but my weights are kind of moving up, and I'm, working on form, and I am pulling off the weight. So I found that kind of combo really worked for me. This was not a linear path for me at all. I started, as we kind of I talked about, where I started with kind of Weight Watchers and went on to Forks Over Knives. I think Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead was in there. Oh yeah, I did do the juicing for a while. And I even tried, only potatoes from like Spud Fit. I have tried some fad and some crazy things. This works, and it's working in a very healthy manner. Like I said, I'm 59 and a half years old. The patients that I see that are my age, they've had high blood pressure for a while. They probably have diabetes type 2. They've had cardiac disease, and they've had it for a while, plus or minus a stroke. The only thing that I have truly had is depression, which honestly, I'm not going to say it's genetic, but my mom had it. So, there could be something from being more prone to it. And then thyroid cancer that was diagnosed last year, probably because I lost 60 pounds and my GP could actually feel my thyroid and feel the mass in it. So in some ways, I'm glad she found it because it was at an incredibly early stage. But I did have to take it out. So, I'm on the older side. I am postmenopausal and hypothyroid, and I am still losing weight easily. So I am kind of here to document my journey. I am here to hopefully start coaching because I would love to do that at this point in my life. And I am here to also just show you some of the things that I have found that make this particular lifestyle much easier to do, whether they are food tips, pantry tips, capsule pantry tips, which is kind of a big one too, of, a capsule pantry to lose weight. Making sure that you're getting enough protein in, because I never worry about protein. And we always kind of say, if you get enough calories, you get enough protein. And do I look like I don't get enough protein? But things that make exercise a little bit easier, and mindset. Mindset is one of my biggest challenges, and it has made the biggest difference in this transformation for me. And I think honestly, even with Carly, it's not been linear progress. I will say that, yes, I am more consistent with my food right now. Yes, I am more consistent with my exercise right now. But mindset in the last few months, because I've lost like 21 or 22 pounds in the last 2 months, it's been my mindset shifts. And I'm just documenting it all here for you. So hopefully you will get some value from this. Come along for the ride. Like I said, I was at a new low this morning of 228.4. My highest was 291.4, because we never forget our highest number, especially when it's close to 300. My goal and where I will hit next year, cannot tell you the day. I cannot even tell you the month. I can just tell you that I am very certain it's going to happen, is 170, which is a BMI of 25 for me, which is an incredibly healthy weight. My exercise, there's no running, there's no jumping, and there's no killing yourself. It's very doable. So hopefully you got something from this. I know it's the beginning of the year. You may have health goals. We're going to set some success patterns for that in the next week or two. But thank you for being here. Please subscribe. Come along for the ride, because like I said, I'm going to be here for another almost 60 pounds. It will happen next year. So give me a thumbs up if you get any value from this. I am going to link everything in the description of all the movies that I think that have helped me, all the books that I think that have helped me on the journey that I have been on. And there is so much scientific data out there now that a whole foods plant-based diet is one of the healthiest things that you can do to reverse disease and lose the weight. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.